Welcome to the Orient Sportscast Podcast, the most refreshing analysis, insight, and opinions in the world of sports. Here are your hosts, Josh Egan and Brandon Waterhouse.
All right, everyone, we're back. We apologize. Life happens. We were supposed to record an episode last Friday. I woke up that morning, my voice was very raspy, and with the current climate, we were thinking, all right, maybe let's just leave it a day, see how he's feeling. So we left it the weekend. I work weekends, so the timing just didn't work out. And then, Monday rolls around.
Yeah.
Brandon and I are both in school. Timing wasn't working. Tuesday, I messaged Brandon and
Jesus Christ.
Tuesday
was one of the, 2020 has been wrapped up as one of the worst years of existence, especially for me. But this past Tuesday, it was brutal. We definitely had to schedule to record on Tuesday night, but I woke up and I swear to God, man, I'm not going to name the place though, but man, there's a place here at Woodbine Center. I'll tell you what, they're trying to kill me, man. The Chinese food they were having there, straight out of like the packaging. I tell you what, it could have been raw. It could have been shot out of the fields that day. The chickens probably still had hair on it. That chicken took me down, man. I tell you, really bad. You thought it was, you go through all the things in your head when you get sick, especially when you're puking your guts out. So not to get too graphic, but holy, let's cook our food and we're not hoping that any building fires.
Yeah. And then we were gonna record this morning. Brandon was like, I'll be back at the studio around 10, 11 o'clock. So I was like, all right. So around
someone else said let's get cooking.
Yeah, probably like 10:30, 10:45 this morning. Yeah. My fire alarm went off, and I live in an apartment building, so I was like, somebody just probably threw a cigarette out the stairwell or something. And so I go down to the lobby. I ask someone, hey, is there a fire? And they're like, nah, it's all good. So I'm like, all right. So I go back up, calm my dog down because of the fire alarm. And then my dog starts freaking out. And I hear yelling out back. So we're only on the second floor, so I wasn't too worried. So I step out on the balcony, look over, and I see a bunch of people panicking. So, I just tilt my head and look up, and just black smoke pouring out the top, 10th floor coming out. I'm like, oh, shit, time to go. So grab the dog, get down, go to my parents' house for a couple hours, and it's all good. We're allowed back in. Unfortunately, the people upstairs are not so lucky. They're not allowed back in, but nobody was hurt. No one was injured. Everybody's okay. But that just goes to show Orient Sports powers through. We're back. We're here. We're focused.
For sure.
And we have a fuck ton of content. So let's get to it. Why don't you kick us off?
You want me to? All right. Let's drop into the stuff that's going to keep us talking with Josh here. And that's the lack of talks that we've been hearing in NHL, Josh. And I know you have a lot to say on Gary Bettman. So what do you want to say?
All right. Here's our
fuck.
Gary Bettman works for 31 people, soon to be 32.
Right.
Those people, their main goal is to make money. They are owners. If you own a business, what is your main goal? It's to make money at all costs.
That's cheddar.
So these owners, they've been cited as saying like, if we play, we're going to lose 40 million. If we don't play, we're only going to lose 15. And that's because if you don't play, you don't have to pay the players. And Gary Bettman pretty much came out and said, the players owe us a bunch, and that is what it is. Like, that's pretty much what he said. It wasn't a very PR friendly statement, in my opinion. And I just thought, with the climate of today's world, and people want a little bit of normalcy back, the NHL would take a pause and a moment to reflect and say, you know what, let's figure this out, and let's get a product on the ice and on TV. And they just haven't done that. And he's still saying a January 1st start date. Bullshit. It's December 3rd today, soon to be December 4th. It'll be December 4th by the time you're listening to this. And they're not going to start January 1st. They'll be lucky if they start January 15th. How long is an NHL training camp? 2.5, 3 weeks?
And the turnaround is just, it's going to be taken so poorly by the Players Association.
Yeah. And so I just find it really disappointing the way, not just, and you know what, this doesn't all fall on Gary Bettman. He's done a really good job of his whole tenure, and people can hate on him, but he has done a really good job of growing the game. He's expanded into markets that shouldn't have been expanded in. He's kept markets alive that shouldn't have been kept alive. and he's grown the game worldwide. People can hate on him all they want. People are going to hate on him because he's got 3 lockouts under his belt, maybe soon to be 4. But he's done what a commissioner should do. And not everybody can be Adam Silver. But unfortunately, in the world of hockey, it's different than the NBA. And the money's different. If you cut 40% of an NBA player's salary, they could still be making 10 million. But if you cut 40% of an NHL player's salary, that could go from 10 million to 6 million, which is quite the drop off from 36 to 26 or whatever.
Huge.
So it's disappointing to see this, and I just hope they figure it out because hockey's my favorite sport. I don't think that's a lie. I'm sure. I don't know.
Keep talking, but we're just changing the pylon because I haven't been here since the month changed. So keep talking. We're just changing the pylon, seeing who's in December.
All right, I'm excited to see this. And it is.
Fuck it. I just tell by the team, though.
Who is it?
Buddy.
Steph Curry. Draining threes. But yeah, I just.
That's. I hope that's news. I hope that's some promising turnaround. That we get some better Splash Bros luck around here.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that the NHL can figure out because it's not looking good, and they want fans in the arena. And down in Canada, I don't think that's going to happen within the next 6 months. Maybe for playoffs, but by the time playoffs starts, if they go with the all Canadian division, it's going to be top 4. So that means the first 2 rounds are going to be Canadian team versus Canadian team.
Yeah, that's just brutal for Canada hockey. You're going to go that whole way. Yeah, and have the Canadian division and have no chances for Canadian teams to win, go further in the playoffs, then it's just fucked.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But NHL teams are trying to adapt and see what happens here. And some teams want to play outside. And it's been reported that 4 teams, I think LA, Anaheim, Pittsburgh, and Boston.
Yeah, right on.
Nice. I've been looking at playing games outside. And I know Toronto have that capability. They actually have the option of putting an arena in the Rogers Center, and they have a retractable roof. So if weather was an issue, you just close the roof, boom, you got an arena. And they have BMO Field as well. They could go and play at U of T Field. They have a lot of options. So that's options teams are looking at, and what that would allow in this pandemic. For some reason, you're allowed a bigger crowd outside. So you could pack between, I think, if I do the math off the top of my head, 30%, you could pack between 5,000 to 7,500 people in BMO Field, which would be 12 to 15,000 in Rogers Center. So that's a crowd. That's people you have. That's gate revenue. The NHL is a gate revenue league. The Leafs aren't a team that needs that gate revenue. They're going to make money either way. But teams like Anaheim, teams like LA, even Pittsburgh, they're going to need that money at the gate. And I think it's something teams need to look into. The only thing that might be different is I'm sure we've both watched outdoor games. They're slower. It's a different type of hockey. But if that's what we have to do to get NHL back on the TV, that's what we're going to do.
I just looked up and said BMO Field can hold up to 30,000.
Yeah, but you're only allowed, I think it's 20.
You're allowed the percentages of the capacity.
Yeah, I think it's 13% here or something.
And that could totally be eliminated if it was trying to be played indoors too, because indoors you have to think of the other risks that are involved. You're in an enclosed space. Masks are mandatory. Not to say masks shouldn't be mandatory if you're outside an event too. If you're still in close proximity, even though you're not under a roof, I definitely agree with wearing a mask too.
Oh, if it was indoors, I don't think I would go to a game. But if it was outdoors, I'd go to a game and I'd wear a mask.
For sure. And it's going to be cold too. I've been walking around here and to my car, or just parking the car. I leave my mask on my face. It just keeps my nose and my mouth cold, even for just the amount of time it's been in winter so far.
Well, bro, I got the balaclava now, so it goes over my ears. And I just fucking rock that all. I can go to Walmart, wear it. It's all
dude. Good. I tell you what, actually, that's funny you mentioned that because of what I've been through the past couple of days. The hospitals are not allowing anything but the paper masks now, the blue masks. You cannot wear fabric masks. You cannot wear neck covers. So they said that they're only allowing paper masks in the hospitals, and that's the safest way because you're supposed to be washing those reusable ones every day after you use them, and even then, there's still bacteria that's stuck in them. So it's just kind of they're saying you can't, they're taking your fabric masks off at the door and you can't wear anything but the paper mask. So I wonder if they do the same thing if they're going to allow people in to attend. You can't just wear
Maybe,
a regular
maybe.
mask. You have to wear a probably provided paper mask, which is whatever. It's a mask. It's a mask. It should be
Yeah.
doing the real purpose of why it's there.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if the venues provide the mask, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's keep going with the NHL here. Let's keep some energizing. But we talk about the chances of playing outdoor, which is great for the aspects if you're going to be a spectator. It's cool to see an outdoor game. But if you're looking forward to another part of the NHL where you see the youngest rookies in the league who are still eligible to play on their national junior teams not be able to be like let go back to their home countries. And if you're a Canadian fan, you're seeing this right now.
Yeah, Alexis Lafreniere is not going to be released to Team Canada. The Rangers said that today, and Jack Hughes will not be released to the American team. That was announced by the Devils today.
It's hard, especially because you haven't seen these players in a long time in general play because of the lockout and because of just less available opportunities to play for hockey lately. And for them, they are the first in like the Jack Hughes thing. Was he allowed to play in his rookie year, or
he was in his rookie year?
Yeah, and they let him play.
He didn't play in the juniors last year, but because the NHL probably. See, I'm going two ways here because Nick Robertson and a bunch of other guys were just named to the U.S. team, which to me says the NHL isn't starting until after the gold medal game, which is January 5th.
That was also weird. Like, why are you holding these players? They're holding them due to injuries, obviously, because it's not like they're taking them away from like regular organizational activities. Like if they had a training camp, like those are the NHL starting. It could start in February. Like the World Juniors could be done at the end of end of January, like at the beginning of January. And if you think that the NHL is going to start up then yeah, it makes sense. But if you have no regular plan right now, there's still lots of time. Like you should let these players go.
Okay, but like, what's better for you, an NHL training camp or a tournament for a world championship?
Are you asking me or are you asking the GM me?
I'm asking everybody. I take the World Juniors. The World Juniors are probably the most intense tournament out there. You got a bunch of 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds out there bombing around, throwing. Like, the World Juniors probably have the most intense games I've ever seen. Like, let's be straight up. Like, it's great hockey. It's, what is it? I think in total it's like 18 days of hockey.
Yeah, like, what do you remember? Like, I remember Jordan Eberle on the knees, 2 seconds left, backhand against Russia. Like, that's what I remember.
Can you believe it? And then Pierre ruins it with, yes, I can.
Yes, I can. Oh my God.
Yes, I can, because the Russian defender,
Oh, man. What else you got to say in NHL, or else we can move right along?
Well, I just think I just got kind of confused by the messaging that these teams are sending, because you release a bunch of players to Team USA. Most notably, Nick Robertson was released to the US team. A couple other players were released to their national teams. And by doing that, you're saying, okay, yeah, we're not starting until after January 5th. And then you're asked for 2 first-round picks of Jack Hughes and Alexis Lafreniere, and they're not released to the World Junior Camp. I honestly think releasing those players to those teams would help them better than a half-assed camp. Like, you're playing competitive games. You're not. I don't care what everybody says. You're not playing the highest level competition in a training camp.
No, you're not, and especially because you're not even trying to get hurt during the training camp too, because you're playing you're playing against your teammates, even though you're battling them for spots. If you're younger, you're still not going after heads.
Right.
And
exactly.
That takes down the intensity level. Like if you're going to get into the first 2 weeks of NHL, and these guys are coming off of all this built up animosity, energy. Everyone's waiting to go, and if you're going to be a young player, you might as well experience the fastest type of competition from the World Juniors right into the NHL. You'll be much more prepared.
Right. And I'm excited for the World Juniors this year. Actually, it's going to be a really good tournament. I'm excited to see the results of
anything coming up soon that's worth watching. There's no reason. Everything's been so poor lately.
We got to watch a game together. We got to do that.
I tell you what, man. As soon as this little bullshit thing called school gets over with, and we have that little reading.
Bro, we are on break during the World Tournaments. I'm not even worried about that.
I tell you what, school can go. School can go.
I think we should announce that. This is a huge announcement for both of us. Brandon and I were able to get the same block of classes for next semester. So the podcast is going to be able to come out more regularly, and
On a routine, yeah.
it's going to be great. We're going to be more of a routine, yeah.
Not like, I mean, although.
Not that anybody cares.
Yeah, no, but although it might seem like, oh, big news now, but like the first semester we were figuring this out. We didn't. We had a lot different class schedules. So we had the opportunity to.
Pretty much opposite.
Yeah, like this most recent one. As soon as we started up this channel, we've had like different classes, and so we had the chance to at least our school. Like it would be so much worse if we had to put into the individual classes. Though they had to give us blocks, so it was easy 1, 2, 3 block. Gives us a lot more like leeway when we can either like meet up, and hopefully there's some things that just make life easier, like a vaccine, less like restriction coming up, especially in the new year, man. 2021 has to be different.
And I know they're watching because they've messaged me, but shout out Humber. Your schooling's great, your programming's great, student relations is great, everything's great. Fix your registration system.
Yeah, I know they were flooded. Honestly, I know they're not.
Fix it.
It's not protected, and especially when like everyone is on at the same time.
I don't care how many people are in our program, man. Like you can't like
to work.
How many? It's got to work. It's got to be okay. I like this one. Boom, registered, done. I should be done at 2:07 max, not 3:14.
I'm looking at you right now. It's got to be done.
So I got before we wrap up the NHL, I got one question for you. So the NHL, if we split it into divisions, we think there's going to be an all Canadian division. Off the top of your head, I want you to rank. I'm going to put the Sens at the bottom because I think that's consensus. Who would be go 1 to 6? So who would be 6th, 5th, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st? How would you rank them? Canadian team.
Yeah. So we got. Yeah, you gave us the bottom there. Wow. I'd say because of it, the Oilers.
Oilers, where would you put them? 1st or 6th?
So I was going to put them. Is it 7 because the Senators are 7?
Yeah, kind of fix your mic. It's kind of faded.
Okay, you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's better. There you go.
Okay, let me start at 1 then, because coming backwards was a little bit difficult. I'd say definitely super homey, but the Leafs have a really good chance of coming in first this year.
Okay, why do you say that? What's your reasoning?
Were they the highest ranked? No, who were the highest ranked Canadian team last year?
It might have been Edmonton. I think it was Edmonton.
Oh, Edmonton. I just think the Leafs, due to a couple of recent additions, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they have the on paper roster that would get them in first place. Yeah. Obviously, nothing ever happens. You have health, and you have Austin Matthews going on and off. Like, it is what it is, and we are super homey, but the Leafs do have that realistic chance to always be in that position now, especially with a growing team and more mature additions like Simmons. Sorry, Wayne Simmons. I'm going to say Steve Simmons. I'm like,
no, they did not sign Wayne Simmons. We did not sign. No, I don't want that guy.
That guy will be fucking talking up a storm in the middle of the center ice. But I'd like to say the Leafs, and then I'd like to say Edmonton.
Right. And there's no wrong answers here. Like, I've just been listening to a couple podcasts that have been ranking them 1 to 7. I just want to hear I'm going to tell you a couple of the things I've heard and just get your reaction from them. I just want to hear what you have to say, and then we can base it off that.
I got you. Let me just give it to you with less talk. Let me say this. Let me go Leafs, Oilers, Jets. Leafs, Oilers, Jets, and then we got the Canucks beating the Habs. Leafs, Oilers, Jets. Leafs, Oilers, Jets, Canucks, Flames, Habs.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So
I'm not giving the Habs a lot of deal, I guess, just because of how much I see the other competition, and I only see Vancouver getting better.
Yes. Okay. So this was mine. I had the Leafs at the top as well because I think they have the most talent in the regular season. I'm not saying they'll be able to make a deep playoff run because I think they might be out hit and out physically played, even with the addition of Wayne Simmons and Joe Thornton and Troy Brody. Then I have the Jets over the Oilers because I think if Connor Hellebuyck can go on a heater like he did last season, I have that. The Oilers just don't have the goaltending, and they really rely on their top two players, like McDavid and Draisaitl. I just don't think it'll be enough to beat the Jets and edge them out of that. after the Oilers, I have the Flames, then the Canucks, then the Habs, then the Sens. I think you can interchange the Flames and the Habs. I think that's going to be a battle for the sixth in the division. The Sens, though, man, the Sens are interesting because I don't think it's disrespectful by putting them at the bottom of the league, because
They can always surprise us.
I think they're going to steal points from teams, right?
Very
Like
well.
if you have, so say Toronto and Ottawa are playing a 3-game series, which could be a realistic opportunity, the Sens might steal one game. That's 2 points taken from a team, right? Like
I could see them stealing more than one game, especially with like just the amount of retribution they have, like Connor Brown, those type of guys who just want to show that they're worth, like they were always worth more than they were. You always have the Kachuk. You just have a lot of people just willing, like they're just gonna have balls to the wall, for lack of a better term, nothing to lose.
Right. So the reason I bring this up is because I was listening to a podcast recently. I'm going to shout them out because it's my favorite podcast, the Steve Dangle podcast, and they had Brian Burke on. Great interview. I love listening to Berkey, but there was one thing he said that kind of bugged me, and he had Montreal at the top of the Canadian division.
Dangle or Burke?
Burke did.
That's something Burke would say.
I didn't quite understand that one. His reasoning was that Carey Price could take them there. I can see that maybe if it was like a 10 to 15 game season, but Carey Price is going to carry you through a 48 to 60 game season at the top of the league against shooters like Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, Brady Tkachuk, Johnny Gaudreau, Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Line. Not going to happen, dude. That's not going to happen. You got.
That's what I said, and that's why. That's why I said, sorry to interrupt you. Go back to your list. You mentioned Hellebuyck, and I don't think that goaltending is going to be that big of a deal, considering that how high offensive can be just turned around. Like, and that's why I mean, like for Edmonton, they can have a high turnaround on offense in the matter of how quick they score goals, and the goalie just can't react to that. A goalie can hold you down for a stretch of games for sure. Right. It depends on how long, and depending on how long this season is too. Like we have like 72, whatever, in the midst of what we're trying to think about. It was probably gonna be less games, and
it's gonna be 48 or 60.
Right. I said 72 because of the NBA, I think.
Right.
But, so even then, that's a dramatically different, and so it throws the goalies off their routine because they're used to playing. They're gonna have to give up. The starters are gonna have to give up more games because it's just gonna be less game schedule, but the same rate. You know what I mean? Well, although you may play 40 games, 82 game season, you're going to probably play 25 games in the 42 game season, and it's just not going to be great for you because you've been waiting extra long to play. But the guys, literally the offensive guys, have been working on their hands, shot, dekes, like they've been coming up with new shit, like behind the back, lacrosse goals. Like there's so many different ways to score. Goaltending is just such a minuscule part of how a team can get up in the points. And although like Hellebuyck, Carey Price, they have great reputation, great stats. You just can't beat a one-timer quick pass, like power play penalties. Like you just go into it. It turns into like a huge slugfest really quick if you're in the NHL and you're taking penalties and life happens.
Yeah, like my list was based off. I put a lot of thought in my list actually because I thought it was a little bit of a fun exercise because I think 1 to 6 in an NHL in an NHL Canadian division would be. Like, it's going to be fun. I think you're guaranteed playoff teams because if you did 4 divisions over 4, the top 4 teams would make it. So I think you're guaranteed 4 teams with the playoffs would be Leafs, Oilers, Jets. And then I kind of get a question mark because the Canucks, Flames, and Habs, I see them as interchangeable. And even for that first place, I'm not guaranteed the Leafs get first place. What if you get an injury? What if Frederik Andersen isn't Frederik Andersen? Jack Campbell, he can't make a save in the backup game because backups are going to be huge in this season because there's going to be a ton of back-to-backs. There might be 3 and 4s, 5s and 7s, right? There's going to be tons. And so I can see the Leafs and Oilers changing places. The Oilers just, if they didn't have McDavid, I wouldn't have them as high. I just think like this Canadian division, man, it's going to be so much fun. Just reigniting the Canadian rivalries, and I'm really excited for it when they start it. And I don't know if you have anything more on that Canadian division, but it's going to be absolutely incredible.
I don't even have anything else to say. I can move right along into some other stuff.
Yeah, you can cut me off. I'll talk hockey all day.
Right, and I could talk the next sport all day, and that's the NBA.
Let's do it.
And there's enough to talk about. We could go over everything right now, but we'll just slow it down. We're coming on right now. We're Thursday. The most recent thing that happened in the NBA, what we'll discuss first, is a blockbuster trade for John Wall and Russell Westbrook. And
Yep.
I believe Russell Westbrook was attached to the first round pick for John Wall as well, which made me question the value of Westbrook. I guess they're valuing John Wall more than Westbrook, but Westbrook has arguably a different type of playing style with a higher degree of attributes in terms of like he's had MVP, he's had the triple double season, like, and he's also been close to winning in his young career. And so when he was attached with the pick for John Wall, I don't think that really makes sense for me. However, this now trade in turns that former Kentucky teammates, DeMarcus Cousins, who signed a 1-year deal with the Houston Rockets recently, and John Wall, who they were like, two peas in a pod, you could say, you have these guys who are now reconnected back down in Houston on 2 different deals. You have 2 different teams now almost. You have Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook who can shoot and run. And instead, down low in Houston, you have a dribbler with just a high pick and roll dunk guy, which is great because it's a different dynamic for the Houston Rockets. And it's huge news for the NBA. Like it's a superstar for superstar. Like how don't you like to see that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The NBA owns the market in trades. The NFL, the MLB, the NHL, the MLS, the NWHL, the NWSL, the whatever league you want to name, they don't touch the NBA for trades. Like we see blockbuster trades in the NBA all the time. And I think of note that anybody can relate to was the Kawhi Leonard trade to Toronto. That broke at, I believe it was like 2:37 in the morning, and everybody woke up to it and was like, what the fuck? And I was up when that trade broke because it was the summer, and honestly, I was probably drinking and gaming.
Yeah,
so
sure.
like, whatever. And so, but no, I think movement is good for the NBA. I think Russell Westbrook, I've seen the stats, and he is the only NBA player who has won an MVP that has been traded in back-to-back off seasons.
Yeah, and that's definitely a testament to his character, I'm sure, more than his on-field performance. It has to do on court performance rather.
And he's been passed around more than a spliff at a high school party.
I tell you what, especially if it was around the pit.
Everybody knows the pit.
Your high school called the smoking spot the pit for other people who used it.
Everybody thought their high school pit was so special, but now that I think about it, every high school had the pit, and it was always out back or it was the bus stop.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Speaking of just familiarities, Kawhi Leonard, who actually texted Serge Ibaka, literally just straight up, "Hey, what's up?" on free agency day, apparently, which is a great thing to hear. Like, especially if you're just wondering, like, oh, he just signed. Maybe they talked, maybe they didn't. Media nowadays, people have the chance to tell that. And Serge, he literally was reported saying that, like, yeah, he texted me, he said, "What's up?" And now you get to see that, Kawhi actually does, like, he doesn't have to say much. His play talks for himself. For Serge, he probably didn't see it much of a promising chance with any superstars in Toronto. I'm sure he's worth so much on the open market. And if he just saw interest from a former buddy, like, just, you see the videos, they were in the car smoking the cigar rather.
What it do, baby?
It's just legendary stuff. And it's not like they're like 1 and 2 together, like they're pick and punch, like Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, but the chemistry that it could bring coming off the bench. I mean, Serge could definitely start too, but for Kawhi, it's familiarity. Maybe Kawhi's just going to start bringing down all the Raptors to LA, right? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Serge Ibaka, he was in the postseason celebration videos with Kawhi Leonard. He was seen on videos with Kawhi Leonard throughout the season. What was the name of his show on YouTube? Like his cooking show? Was it like Cooking with Serge or something?
Yeah. It's Mafuzi Chef or something like that.
Yeah, like he had Kawhi on there. He was like, "Kawhi, you resigning?" And he was like, "I don't know, fam." Like,
Mafuzi Chef or something.
Like honestly, I'm not going to hold anything against Serge Ibaka for for signing in with the Clippers. Like, if you want to go and join your friends and live that life, go ahead, dude. Like, the Raptors are still going to get second place in the NBA. Like, I'm going to call it right here. And like, let's clip this. The Raptors are going to win second place in the Eastern Conference this year, and then in the offseason, They're gonna get Giannis. Then they're gonna make a huge push for the NBA championship. Like that's what's gonna happen. Like I see it coming. It's a fucking obvious thing. Masai is working his.
December 3rd, 2020. It's still on my lock screen.
There you go. Masai's a magician. He's gonna get, even if it's not Giannis, he's gonna get like the
You
way
could get Kawhi back.
I don't want him back. Like, have you heard the stories coming out? Like Clippers players are shitting on him, man. Like him and Chris Paul decide practice times, who plays in the games, when they play, when they practice. Like, fuck that. I don't want that shit.
And that I feel, and for Kawhi coming off of like one great season with the Raptors, like it's great. Like you can think that you're entitled to everything that you thought you were, but you saw how it played out. You know, your teammates are like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Sure, you are who you are, but bro, we need you to come to practice, man. Like, can you come on time at least? Like, we don't need Kawhi Leonard thinking that it's still the Raptors and they're not. Like maybe he would have got the treatment in Toronto this past season would have been like similar to down in LA, but it might have worked better because the Raptors understood that he needed that time.
Right.
For the Clippers, it's like, why does this guy come in and he needs all this time, all this therapy, all this extra treatment, like his own place out in San Diego? Like, why can't he just be on the bus with us or not take a private jet by himself? Like, you could have done that in Toronto and they would have understood that you were just there to play basketball. And sure, I'm being biased that maybe just because I wanted you here that we're thinking that. But at the same time, if you're going to go down and break up a whole different type of chemistry that you just think you're entitled to, I mean, I'm not telling Kawhi Leonard that he's not entitled to anything. He was deserving of the money and the deal he got. But you literally see, like LeBron was on an uninterrupted podcast the other day. He's like, yeah, like all we had to do was knock on the door and Montrezl Harrell joined the team. Like he wanted out there right. Like Montrezl Harrell wanted out right away. And then LeBron kept knocking on the door. He's like, yeah, everyone else is telling me how shit it is in there in the Clippers dressing room. And they said all they had to do was just knock on Montrezl's door and say, yo, you want to come over here? It didn't take much. And Montrezl Harrell was like the reason for the last couple years of the Clippers. Like when you think of Clippers, you thought, oh yeah, Montrezl Harrell, Pat Beverly, Lou Williams, those type of guys. And it took Kawhi Leonard, I'm sure. It just took Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. He's like, yeah, this is not the Clippers was used to part of. And it might not be.
And you're playing in the same fucking building anyway, so what's the difference? You're just putting on a different jersey.
Right. And dude, the Lakers, I'm not even a Lakers fan. I'm just for Kobe Bryant. But the Lakers just absolutely you would have thought they didn't win a championship last year with how they added on to their roster this past week. Especially because
they're gonna win like the next 3 to 5 or something.
Yeah, you added Montrez, 6th man of the year. You added Dennis Schroeder, who was a runner-up for the 6th man of the year. And then you get Marc Gasol, and then Marc Gasol is like, as soon as Marc Gasol signs, guess who starts working out back in Spain? Pau Gasol starts working out back in Spain. So Pau Gasol, he starts getting in the reps, and then LeBron's like, someone asks him, he answers like, they're like, what are the chances now that Mark's here? Have you been hitting up Pau? He's like, maybe, we'll see. He didn't even say that it was outrageous. And the thing is, you saw but Kevin Durant, like he was interviewed recently on the rumors that Harden wanted to come to the Nets. And he's like, where did you guys hear that? And so you're like, even though it sounded like Harden was really going to the Nets, Kevin Durant said that wasn't even a real thing. And so, yeah, exactly. And so, oh my God, who were we just talking
about? Kevin Durant.
No, before Kevin Durant.
LeBron James and
Lakers. Yeah, Pau Gasol. Sorry. So he was very like open about it. As almost as if it was perfect timing. He said that the next day, someone's like uncovered NBA account shows Pau Gasol hitting hook shots, and now Pau and Marc Gasol Pau could play. He can still play. Whether he chooses to or not is an amazing question. He's a Hall of Famer. He's won with Kobe. He can play. He can play. Mark could have an impact on him coming back. Like that's a huge rumor. Rumor.
Yeah. The NBA is going to be fun this year, and they tip off on the 22nd. There's going to be games on the 25th, and that's probably my best transition ever. We have some Christmas games. I don't really care about them because the Raptors aren't playing.
The Raptors are not playing in them. Yeah. The Christmas games are what they are. They're good for the market.
Do you watch the Christmas games?
Yeah, I do actually.
Or okay, do you watch them or do you have them on in the background?
Well, that's a good question because I haven't been. It's not like I would do anything else, right? So it's not like I had to have it in the background. I'd just be chilling watching it for real sometimes. But like, I mean, I might it wouldn't be in the background. I'd either be watching it or I'd be like playing pond hockey during the just the 25th. You know what I mean? Like if it's that cold and it's that nice of a day, there's probably a pond frozen. I might just be out. I would just watch the highlights. I wouldn't have it in the background. The only background I probably have is multiple games going at the same time.
Right.
But yeah, the Christmas schedule is nice for a couple teams. You know, yeah, the highlighted Warriors are in there. Clippers are at the night game. The Lakers get their game. All that stuff. But speaking of all that stuff, I would like to say LeVar Ball had all that stuff because that man delivered 3 NBA boys. Actually, his wife did. He helped assist that process. This is not anatomy class, but LeVar Ball, like he must have just regimed his boys' routines when they were young. Just the basketball, eat, basketball, sleep, basketball, eat. All 3 of them. Jello was not even LiAngelo, as we were talking about. Oh my God, I have a great joke. I hope we clip this because my boys are gonna love this one. So you remember how LiAngelo Ball, like 2 or 3 years ago, he was on UCLA. He got caught over in China or across seas for stealing something like really low.
Yeah.
Like shoplifting a very like $100 like or less value. I don't even know what the value of the item was. Very
Wasn't
minor.
that high, yeah.
But it was newsbreaking because
because he was like apparently gonna be kept there for like 25 years or something.
Right. It was newsbreaking because
Didn't Trump get involved in that?
I don't know if that was that or
maybe that was something else. I thought Trump got involved in that.
Trump did, yeah. Trump. Who cares about Trump?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah. So LiAngelo Ball back in the whatever he got that was a big thing on him, and then my boys are like LiAngelo. My friend's like, LiAngelo Ball is going to lead the league in steals next year. My friend's like, he already does. that's all we needed to say because he hasn't even played a single game in the league and he already has a little bit on his history there. But
oh boy,
defense, I think that was my first friend's reaction is that LiAngelo Ball has a little bit of upside on the defensive end and shooting. He's a very good player. He wasn't drafted though. Some people say he could have went last in his year, but he was waiting for that pick. But he just got looked over. I don't know how this happened, how the Detroit Pistons found him. I think he's been training with the Thunder's G League team recently, the Oklahoma City Thunder's team previously.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the system. He's in the NBA system. His younger brother just got drafted. I'm sure it was all over. I can't say it's like a good marketing or promotional move for the Pistons. Like it just has to be strictly for a basketball reason because it was
right.
It was an unguaranteed deal. It was only 1 year, so it's not a huge amount of like responsibility on him. He just has to show up and put in extra work just to show that.
Well, it's an unguaranteed contract too, right? Like he's not guaranteed the money on the contract, so he's got to show up and work and prove himself. They can cut him at any time.
Yeah, and that I think that's just as good of an incentive for him because like it wasn't given. He wasn't drafted as high as his brothers were. Like he wasn't even drafted at all.
What's the cash? Do you know the cash amount on his contract, or has that not been released?
I don't think it's been released necessarily yet.
Okay.
I don't look deep enough, especially because it's like rookie. It could be pretty ugly. I don't even know.
Well, it's the NBA. It's probably in the millions.
Exactly, of course.
So you want this millions of dollars and work hard, or do you not want it? Like it's up to him.
And that's an amazing. Like he has to be so grateful for that chance. But you know, for him, he has the most on the line. Maybe not the most on the line. Like his brother Lonzo, he's kind of settled into his character in the NBA. I mean, LaMelo has a lot to look up for, but like Lonzo is just Lonzo. LiAngelo is just LiAngelo right now, and you know, he's the guy that stole across the seas when he was in UCLA, and now he's just gonna have to put in some work, some 3-pointers. That's what he's good at in the Chino Hills days with his brothers, and you know, this could all come down to being traded back to the teams maybe in the NBA future. We get to see all the Ball brothers on one team, and who knows what team that is. And the good news is that it's not the Lakers anymore. Everyone thought, oh, the first one that got drafted was Lonzo to the Lakers. All the Ball brothers are going to the Lakers. Like that was never a realistic chance to begin with. But now you have 3 lackluster teams, New Orleans, Detroit, and Charlotte, who probably can all make that cap space in the next 5 years to get all of those freaking guys on the same team. And all of a sudden, you're having like the Chino Hills high school basketball days that we grew up on Instagram watching. Who are this kid dropping 92 in a game? And so it's not going to happen necessarily that I'm just saying it. But when they were on the Lakers, you're like, this guy's silly. How are they all going to get on the one team? But now they've all kind of settled out to some lower class, less high population media wise teams. Yeah. So it could work out in a way. I don't want to spend too much time about talking about LeVar
Well,
Ball's.
Well,
But,
speaking of the Lakers and staying on the same team and playing with siblings, I think we got to address that LeBron James has signed a 2-year extension, which would take him to a season where, in that last season, if the NBA passes a rule where players can come straight out of high school, he would be able to play with his son or against his son, which he has publicly stated is a goal of his.
Yeah, that would be.
LeBron James has signed a 2-year, was it 85 or 84 million?
Right. 85.
Okay, well, hold up. Let me just take a pause. This man's being paid 85 million over 2 years.
I think it was an extension. Yeah, like
I
he had
chose
1
the
year.
wrong fucking sport, man. 85 million to play. That's a lot of fucking money.
I tell you what, we were talking about it earlier, but holy shit, like the market for basketball is just global.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of money.
And then just to accompany that, he opted out of his return contract or whatever, AD, but that was to eventually sign a max deal, which was 5 years, 90 million with the Lakers, which was just, oh yeah, okay, that happened. It's
well, we all saw that coming, right? Like
exactly. And speaking of LeBron James, just to finish off the NBA, something to look forward to in the 2021 year is the Space Jam
on
sequel.
HBO Max
streaming service in 2021. So it's going to be more stuff to look forward to. It's already filmed. It's going to be nice to see that there's a lot of cameos. I hear like a lot of people that aren't going to be told who's in it, and you're going to be like, oh my god, there's this guy.
Nice.
Yes, there's gonna be a lot of different cameos. A lot of people have already said like that they're in the movie. Like I swear, like Chris Paul's like, yeah, I'm in the movie, but like it's just like everyone's just saying that they've been mentioned in it, and I think his boy's in it too. Bronny's in it. Like the whole plot is literally with his son, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Obviously, the release of being on HBO Max is because of the pandemic, and like people just can't get to movie theaters, so places are just pushing it straight to
platform service, online services rather.
Yeah, so that'll be fun, and I'm excited to watch it. I think that wraps up our NBA talk.
It does. We could cover some more sports still.
Let's get to the NFL. We haven't touched on NFL in a week, so I'm going to read the scores out to you. And just like we did with our NBA talk last episode, I just want you to give me a quick reaction on what you think.
Got you.
All right. Okay, so Texans-Lions was last Thursday. Texans win 41-25 over the Lions. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's a pretty big win, I guess, but the Lions, it's not much really promising coming out of that. Houston has a little bit more.
Actually, okay, wait, pause. I should have done this game last. So Matt Patricia was caught with a burner account on Twitter. And it was, I think, I don't remember it off the top of my head. It was like at like.
You don't know who Matt Patricia is?
He's the head coach. He was fired
of the Detroit Lions.
And it was at like Arnold Lions fan 04 or something, and he was shitting on the players, the owners, the general manager, everybody but Matt Patricia. And like they were able to trace it, and all the people that Matt Patricia's actual account followed, he was following, and it just doesn't look good for him. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but I just love burner. What are your thoughts on burner accounts?
Yeah, my most recent one is the Kevin Durant situation, because Kevin Durant did have it, and he also said that he would keep the burner accounts no matter what. But Kevin Durant didn't even I think Kevin Durant slandered himself when he had these burner accounts. It was weird. Like he started conversations amongst the Twitter conversations, and he was like making these things like, oh, Kevin Durant's balls, and like people would come and like argue against him, and it was just like a weird. His thing was a little bit different than this. Matt Patricia is kind of like, why you make burner accounts is to hide something and to show that you're not happy with the way you really want to say something. And so, I mean, Matt Patricia, in my eyes, he's the one who came under Bill Belichick the last couple of years, right, in New England.
Yeah.
So he's like he should be taught better. He should know better. He should know way better.
I still think the greatest case of a burner account was Brian Colangelo. If you don't know that story, we don't have enough time to talk about it. Look it up. That story is phenomenal. It was a huge debacle. His wife was involved. The people he was cheating on his wife with was involved. Look up the Brian Colangelo burner account story. And you know what we should start doing? And I think this might actually be fun. Is like sports stories like that, and you and I just break them down. So like episode 1 could be the Brian Colangelo burner account.
Burner stories.
That might actually be fun.
It's something that not many people have I mean, you
Yeah.
hear about it, but like, who focuses on it?
We should do that. We should look into that. Let's not talk
Dude,
about it on air. People are gonna steal our idea. That's
No. Wait a minute. We never said that.
I'm still gonna air it because this is a pretty good episode.
No, but no, this is great, and I wanted that, and I want that to be known too. That's a great market.
Yeah. So also on Thursday, because we had, did we have 2 or 3 Thursday? We only had 2 Thursday games this week because of the coronavirus. The Washington football team beat the Cowboys 41-16, and I'm burning all my stories off the top because Washington football team beat the Cowboys, and Jerry Jones of the Cowboys had some interesting comments about his quarterback. And we're not really talking about the games right now, but we will do later. So the Denver Broncos, most recently, they were forced to play a game without a quarterback. They started was it a right back or something, or a right
I don't even know. I
back?
thought it was, yeah. They couldn't have a first, second, or third string quarterback.
It was a dude from the practice squad started, and Jerry Jones was asked about this, and he said, well, that's the equivalent of us of starting Brian DaVinci or whatever his name is.
Oh, right.
And I don't know how that guy would take that in the locker room because he's an active QB on the roster.
It's just brutal.
That's the equivalent of saying, like, if Garrett Sparks started in net for the Leafs and then somebody had to, like the Hurricanes had to start Jake Gardner in net, and then Brendan Shanahan was caught saying, well, the Hurricanes went through the same thing.
Like, no, it's just like, yeah, he's like
no, Garrett Sparks is a goalie.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like having Jake Gardner play goalie is the same as having Garrett Sparks play goalie.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, maybe don't say that, Jerry.
Well,
but
I mean, Jerry is literally in his own world, Jerry's world. So
yeah. And then the game of the week, the win of the week, the result of the week, the Buffalo Bills beat the Chargers 27-17. Bills Mafia, keep rolling. We're going playoff bound, Super Bowl bound. The Titans beat the Colts 45-26. No issue there for the Titans. They keep going. Vikings beat the Panthers in a nail biter 28-27. No problem there for them. The Jaguars lose to the Browns 25-27. Baker Mayfield is able to get it done against the Jaguars. The Browns, they're a surprise team this year. They go to 8-3. Jaguars unfortunately dropped to 1-10. They are looking like they are a lottery team at this point. Your Giants pulled off the win against the Bengals. I had the Bengals in this game, man. I thought they were going to pull it off.
I forgot Burrow wasn't playing.
Yeah, but credit to the Bengals. If Joe Burrow was playing that game, the Bengals would have won. I think you and I can both agree on that.
That puts the Giants in a tie, but I think in a little bit of a lead right now for first in the NFC East, which is just great.
Yeah, fuck that division. The Patriots beat the Cardinals 20-17. That's a good win for Cam Newton and the boys. Dolphins beat the Jets 20-3. The Jets continue to be an absolute dumpster fire out over there. That's just one of my favorite teams to watch because it's just hilarious to see them collapse. Like I said, being 10 of my best friends could beat that team. Falcons beat the Raiders 43-6. The Falcons roll over the Raiders. That is not a good look for the Raiders, who unfortunately dropped to 6-5, and the Falcons improved to 4-7. This was a shocking result, in my opinion. Then we have the Seahawks. Actually, the Seahawks beat the Eagles 23-17. Just a greasy backdoor cover play. So the spread on this game was 6.5. And so what that means, So what that means is if the Eagles had won by, let me get this correct. Sorry, if the Seahawks had won by 7, then people who bet on the Seahawks to win by 6.5 would have won money. But the Eagles, with 2.5 minutes left, decide to do a 2-point conversion for some fucking reason. And the Seahawks are like, yeah, whatever, man, just throw the conversion. We don't care. Just a greasy backdoor cover. It was disgusting. It made me puke watching this. I felt so bad for people.
I swear. It made like NFL or like Bleacher Report or something TSN Media this week that a fan emailed John Goodell, like voicing his, like he wrote down his opinions and he's like, you owe me money on this. Like you can't let this happen.
So that brings up the argument. Do you think players play with the idea of the spread in their minds?
I think within the last couple of episodes, remember the one episode we had
Yeah,
on
like we had that
Monday Night
Browns
Football?
one happen. There's
Right.
been a
That's
couple
the
other
point.
incidents.
It's almost like you think that there's a coach, a betting coach on the sideline now who's
Yeah.
saying, but the problem is though, is like, what's in it for the players in the team? Do they like
Well,
who's
somebody could be placing the bets for them, right?
right? And so that's a whole nother conspiracy thing that could be dived into by us if we seem to see the need to. But like
I
at the
think
same-
that's something we could look at.
I'm just gonna say, like, I don't want to say anything without saying things, but
Yeah,
we'll
sue
hopefully
people.
that
We have it on
would
tape.
be a mind trick on the viewer. Like, you forgot everything we just talked about. Right back
Yeah.
onto it.
Just an absolutely greasy backdoor cover by the Philadelphia
It's brutal,
Eagles,
man.
who go to 3-7-1. The Seahawks improved to 8-7. And the last game of the week, which I think deserves the most talk about it because it was postponed 3 times, was the Steelers and the Ravens. Steelers win 19-4, but the story out of this was they were supposed to play Thursday, then they were supposed to play Sunday, then they were supposed to play Tuesday, and they eventually played Wednesday at 3:30. They were supposed to play at, I believe, 8:05 p.m., but they were bumped back to 3:30 because of the lighting of a tree in the Rockefeller Center. That must hurt as a football player to be bumped from prime time for a Christmas tree. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Oh my goodness. Merry Christmas, though.
Yeah, ho ho ho. But like, that must have really thrown them off, man. Like playing on Wednesday at 3:30, like, and the Steelers improved to 11-0. There's been talk that Ben Roethlisberger is gonna win the MVP. I don't think he's going to. It's gonna be Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers out of Green Bay. Maybe Josh Allen is a dark horse. It depends, like how these last 5 weeks go.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll see how that goes. I just found that kind of funny, right? Like a football game bumped for a Christmas tree lighting.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that was the case, actually.
No, that was the reason why NBC was like, "Nah, we gotta light this Christmas tree."
Was it the Steelers and the Ravens, you said?
Steelers and Ravens were bumped to 3:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday for a Christmas tree lighting.
Brutal. Are they playing on this coming up Monday now?
No, the schedule's not fully updated yet.
Super fucked up, right?
Yeah. So if we look forward to this weekend, I believe you have these games written down. We got Jags and Vikings. Be an interesting game.
Lions versus Bears.
Yeah, we got Lions and Bears. That is a battle of the fucking basement. I don't know how those teams are going to play each other. Saints Falcons. That'll be fun. The Saints without Drew Brees. The Falcons, they want to keep rolling and make a push for the playoffs. Browns Titans. I'm extremely excited for. That is 2 teams who are strong. People have been looking down on the Browns all season. I think you and I are both some of them. I think it's just kind of been a thing to hate on the Browns this year.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think with a win against the Titans to improve to 9-3, and you sort of cement yourself as like a favorite there with that win.
I agree too, and especially with like, you just hope that Baltimore doesn't catch steam again because they're in that division.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. Lamar Jackson's out for another week.
So you know what? That's not only just on top of like the play for the Cleveland Browns, it's opportunity based right now. You can just go right back at the Baltimore Ravens, who just don't have the chance right now to compete like they used to.
Yeah. Another game we got this week, Bengals Dolphins. That'll be a fun game. This game would be more fun if you had Tua and Joe Burrow playing against each other. It's just not going to be the same without that matchup. So, that's going to be kind of a nothing game. You got the Jags and the Vikings. We already talked about that. Colts and Texans playing each other. That'll be a fun battle. The Colts are looking to improve and make a playoff push. They're 7-4. Houston 4-7. But I think the Texans are going to give them a little bit of a run for their money. I can see the Texans winning this game. Raiders and Jets. We don't really need to give much attention to this because the Jets are just going to get shit on again. Giants and Seahawks. What do you think about that one? You're a Giants fan. I'll let you take this one.
Man, it's just super tough because you come off a high with the Giants and you go into like DK Metcalf and like Russell Wilson. It's just like, oh, it's probably a loss. So I'm not going to name the numbers. I just hope that we can keep it respectable and maybe squeeze. Can't even say it. Probably going to lose.
Okay. I like the confidence. We got Rams
Prove me
Cardinals.
wrong.
The
Prove me
Cardinals are looking to continue rolling. They're probably gonna crush the
The
Rams.
Giants prove me wrong.
Yeah. We got Pats Chargers. This will be a fun one. Both teams.
Very
look-
fun. I agree. I
Yeah.
hope that Cam Newton keeps on quoting himself that he has more to prove.
Yeah, like the Pats are looking to break 500 to become 6-6, and the Chargers are looking to improve on a miserable 3-8 record. So that'll be a fun game. I think the Chargers might get the better of the Patriots in that one. Eagles Packers. The Eagles have Aaron Rodgers, who has just been MVP caliber.
Packers
this
have Aaron
season.
Rodgers. You said the Eagles had Aaron Rodgers.
Did I say Eagles?
If the Eagles had Aaron Rodgers,
Oh fuck! I meant Packers have Aaron Rodgers. They're just gonna keep rolling with my guy Aaron Rodgers, MVP, birthday yesterday, might win the MVP this season. I already said that. They're just gonna roll over the Eagles and just keep making a push for that division title. The Packers are rolling. They stand at 8-3 this year. The Eagles are a Philadelphia disappointment, 3-7.
disappointment. The worst fucking just chalking up losses, man.
But if you say Philadelphia, you automatically assume a disappointment. So whatever.
You just-
Chiefs and Broncos. I think the Broncos are still going to be playing without a quarterback, correct?
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. So they're playing one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL.
What is happening with the Broncos quarterback situation?
Without a quarterback, so you got Patrick Mahomes versus Ben from down the street in a Sunday night football game. So we'll see how that goes. Like, it's a fucking joke. Like, how's the NFL letting this happen?
Oh my god, how do you say that? Ben from down the street. If Ben from down the street had any arm, I could tell you what.
It's true though, man. Like, they just have some dude playing quarterback.
Everyone thinks that they can play quarterback too. Like if you're on the NFL roster, like the DL, like the defensive lineman would be like, yeah, just give me a throw. Like there has been chances where like the defensive lineman has been caught in a trick play and they throw like a 5-yard pass over the end zone to like the quarterback who's run a trick play. But like, unless you have Odell and Jarvis Landry, like those guys can sling the ball, but they're your star players. You don't use them at quarterback.
I'll do it. I'll just hand it off the fucking ball all the time. Monday nighter. We got 2 Monday nighters this week. We got Washington football team and the Steelers playing at 5 p.m. The Steelers look to improve to 12-0, while Washington look to improve on their record and make it 5-7. We'll see how that goes.
I need the Giants. I need the Steelers. If the Steelers can't win that one, then it does not help the Giants right now. The Giants need
at all. And the one I'm excited for, I thought this was a Sunday afternoon game, but I'm excited now. It's 8:15 on a Monday, so I can sit down and enjoy this. We got the Buffalo Bills and the San Francisco 49ers. This is going to be a clash. We got the Bills at 8-3 and the 49ers at 5-6. Josh Allen is just going to keep rolling his fucking legacy. It's going to be beautiful to watch. And we have a rare Tuesday night 8:05 game this week. The Cowboys and the Ravens. That's because of the delays earlier this week.
There we go.
That's going to be interesting to watch. I don't really know how to predict that game right now because I don't know who's going to be playing for the Ravens.
Yeah, good question. It's really up in the air.
Especially
because dude, I don't know if you pay attention to it, but obviously Robert Griffin, like he got
RBG3, yeah.
RBG3, Griffin. I'm sorry, man. I'm just destroying your name right now.
Been sucking fumes.
What? Who's sucking fumes?
You.
Oh. They had a guy, who McSorley. He was the guy. Yeah, he was the guy who played, and he is like, he was like TikTok trending because they made a song after him, and it was just kind of like not very catchy at all. I was just hoping to mention that.
Ben DiNucci.
Dude,
yeah.
What do you think? We might have to edit this last 5 minutes out.
No, this is glorious.
Dude, if your team doctor punctured your lung, would you file a grievance?
Punch you in the fucking face. That's what I would do.
Dude, this guy was trying to help me and he punctured my lung. Like, come on. Give me some money.
Okay. I got a couple questions for you here. One, why is my doctor puncturing my lung? Did he not go to doctor school or whatever you call it?
Doctor school.
Doctor school. I think it's medical school or whatever. Two, I'm pretty sure I would know how to not puncture a lung, and I do sports management and a mediocre high school career. 3, don't stab somebody in the lung.
For real
So
though.
yeah, I would. He's not pressing charges though, is he?
No, that was the
I would. Fuck that,
that was the news, is that he wasn't gonna do anything with it.
man. Like
But
that's a big injury though, punctured lung. Like
if you can't do anything about it, if your team doctor did it, holy hell.
I'd want to know like more backstory to that, man. Like, did he not know what he was doing?
We should look into that actually.
Well, we're not gonna find the answers. I'm not gonna tweet the guy, be like, "Yo, you're a fucking idiot," or what?
Yo, I know what they should do though. Instead of filing a grievance, you should just box it out, man. Right in fucking the Fight Club by Snoop Dogg and Triller.
Yeah, I don't want to reveal too much because I kind of want to close with that whole fight stuff because we got a couple other things to get to before that.
Jeez.
But Snoop Dogg has announced his new fight promotion, Celebrity Fight Club, something like that.
The Fight Club.
Yeah, where
The
he's gonna feature amateur, up and coming boxers and celebrity boxers who want to do their hand of boxing. This could be fun. I think it'd
This
be,
could be something, for sure.
like one fight I want to see Matt Damon fight Johnny Depp. Avril Lavigne versus all of Nickelback. That could be fun. We could see Britney Spears versus Jamie Lynn Spears. Josh Peck versus Drake Bell. This could be a lot of fun. Kevin Durant versus the idea of commitment. That could be a fun one. So let's see what happens. Brandon has left the podcast. It's just me now. So you have to listen to my shit celebrity idea mashups. We're gonna have Mike Tyson versus the judicial system. That'll be a good one as well. Yeah. So Snoop Dogg versus being sober. That'll be a fun one.
Mike Tyson with a bowl of ears.
Yeah, a bowl of ears. Yeah, that'll be good.
Dude,
But yeah, so in all seriousness, Snoop Dogg, he's gonna get started.
Dude, Russell Westbrook versus a team for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh, don't get me. You killed me. Those were original. That was really good.
That was off the top of my head, man. Like me and Molson Canadian, we're teaming up on this.
Molson Canadian. Dude.
Sponsor us.
Isn't your dog's name Molson?
Okay, yo, I got a story for you. Okay, so I was at work this week and I was coaching. It was like Super 7s and 8s or Super 5s and 6s. So it's like that age, but like they're good for their age. So the kids are like, "Do you have a dog?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "What's his name?" I said, "Molson." And one kid goes, "That's a stupid name." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Well, that's the name of the beer my dad drinks. Do you like beer?" So I'm in an awkward situation where a 6-year-old has asked me why I've named my dog after an alcoholic beverage. And it's like,
the closest thing he's ever had is orange juice.
Yeah, I'm like, "No, I just like the name Molson." And he's like, "Well, I think that's dumb."
I tell you what, that kid will one day understand it and appreciate it. He'll probably name his dog Coors.
Well, they didn't get to play torpedo at the end. It was a bag skate. So
Tell you what, you don't fucking make fun of Josh's fucking dog, man.
yeah, man, my dog's chill.
Stupid or dumb.
He let me know there was a fire, even though I probably should have noticed that before. Anyway, moving on. What's next?
What did you want to talk about next? Because I was going to talk
about. Greg Vanney stepped down as the head coach of TFC.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't really see this coming, man. Like
me too, actually, because
it kind of came out of nowhere.
Head coach of the Canadian or the USA team as well. Like he's pretty. Or the women's team, he's like.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising, and he cited it as like
coach.
I'm just gonna say the reasons he cited. Then I'm gonna give the guy praise. He cited it as like he's exhausted from it all. And he just kind of needed a break, and I understand that because TFC they've played in soccer's weird. You don't just play in one league; you play in 3 or 4. So they were playing MLS, Champions League, Canadian, and then CONCACAF. and he was saying like, "Oh, it was exhausting, and I just need a break." It's kind of suspicious that the team he grew up playing with, the LA Galaxy, have a coaching position open that hasn't been filled yet, but we'll see what happens there. I will bet my whole savings that he is the coach of the LA Galaxy within the next 2 years. But yeah, Greg Vanney, he bought relevancy to Toronto and TFC.
Very true.
He had 100, I think it was 110 wins, regular season wins with TFC. He got the team into the playoffs. He made them relevant in the city. He got the fan base active and loud, and people actually caring about soccer in Toronto, because before that they were kind of irrelevant. They were just kind of the soccer team that played down the street in that beat up stadium. When Greg Vanney showed up, and Tim Leiweke deserves credit too, because they made that renovations to the stadium. They bought in Javinko. They bought in all these big players. They made them relevant. And it was nice to see, because they weren't just playing other Canadian teams now or other MLS teams. They went to Mexico and played in one of those hostile stadiums, and they fucking won a Champions League game there.
That was fucking great.
They made it relevant. And, Greg Vanney, 3 MLS Cup appearances. He won a supporters shield with the team, 1 MLS Cup trophy. Good for Greg Vanney. He will forever remain a legend in this city. And his departure will be, it's upsetting. His press conference was very emotional, and you know what? I'm proud of him in the city, and I just hope there's replacement is acceptable. But this just kind of the building blocks in Toronto, man. Javinko's on the way out, or Javinko's already left. Bradley's on the way out. Altidor's on the way out. TFC might be kind of a struggle for the next couple of years, but we'll see how it goes. Let's see who they hire. It's going to be interesting to see who they bring in. They said they want to bring in somebody.
Big decisions for them coming up.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see it be a former player.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
we'll see.
what do you got for us now? You want to finish on that petty shit?
No, I got one more thing before we get to the petty shit, because that petty shit's gonna be fun. The NWHL have announced their return to play format. They're going to be playing at Lake Placid. Do you just the name Lake Placid ring a bell to you?
Oh yeah, Lake Placid. Of course I do.
What happened at Lake Placid?
It's where the Canadians won the gold.
No, there was a miracle on ice happened, man. Come on, focus up. You want to see yourself out, or?
1 second.
Yeah, so the NWHL is going to be playing in a bubble at Lake Placid, and Herb Brooks Arena, he was the coach of the team when they won the Miracle on Ice. They're going to play, I believe it's 5 games each, and then the playoff format, so it'll be semifinals, first place versus 4th place, second place versus 3rd place, and then they'll play in the finals. And I think this will be fun for the NWHL, because this will allow them to play more than 1 game in a day, and it's going to get eyes on the product. And this is what we've wanted for women's hockey. It's going to be the debut of the Toronto Six, man. Like, it's going to be fun. And yeah, they don't get to play a full season. They don't get to do the full playoff series, but it's going to be a fun, like 20 days of hockey. Women's hockey, the best of the best, playing against each other. And then it's going to go right to it reminds us as kids, man. Remember we went to those tournaments? You play like 3 exhibition games. It was 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, finals, go. And then you're done. This is what they're going to do. It's going to be fun. I'm pumped up for it. And I will be watching it on Twitch. It's going to be fun. They're streaming on Twitch. I'm calling them out right now. TSN and Sportsnet, you better pick up this fucking tournament, because it is going to be some fantastic hockey.
See, I thought Salt Lake City was like I thought this was speaking me into like this jacket had me going, because I had Salt Lake City. I had this on today, so I'm thinking like Lake Placid, Salt Lake City, Lake Placid, so like something similar here. I just thought Hockey Canada right away. So that's a huge L in the historical attribute of Brandon Waterhouse's.
Well, it all happens. We're good.
I'd love to fight Jake Paul though.
You hear that, Jake Paul? Brandon's calling you out.
Dude, if it makes me fucking money, like, and gets me the views like he does.
Okay, where do you want to start this? Because like, there's many directions to go here. Should we just start with the actual Jake Paul fight?
Yeah, let's just say Nate Robinson didn't stick up for what he said he was going to. Just absolutely got folded. I mean, who cares? He said that he came on to the group chats the same night, and he said that he took the criticism from his friends. So I'm gonna give it to him. Like, I don't know why you even chose to fucking choose that fight, man. Like, you were gone from the get go. Size difference is already what it was. You just got absolutely out techniqued, out powered. You looked lost, super
Yeah.
lost,
Yeah.
super lost.
You know what to say on this? Most of it's not about the actual fight.
No, it's about the after fight.
Yeah. Jake Paul beat Nate Robinson. Nobody can really argue that because Nate Robinson was still laying on the ground during the Mike Tyson fight. And but the after fight comments were absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to ignore all the other names he called out until we talk about one of them. But this 23-year-old YouTuber who's the same age as me with 2 boxing wins against people who aren't even professional fighters looked in the camera dead ass and said, "I will body Conor McGregor." Are you fucking stupid? If you stepped into that ring with Conor McGregor, you would not leave with your left hand and your right leg. Like, you're an idiot. That man is a murderer.
That was a brutal call out, and I couldn't take him serious after that.
McGregor competed in the ring with maybe the best boxer ever.
That was insane. I mean,
and you're calling him out and saying, he's like, "Oh, I got the height and I got the..." Dude, you're not a professional boxer yet. You have 2 wins against an amateur. You beat another YouTuber and a retired NBA player. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, wake the fuck up. If I had a year of boxing training, I might be able to compete with this guy. I'm not kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. The fight wasn't even that good. Nate Robinson ran at you for 22 minutes.
Yeah, like Nate Robinson. I mean, it wasn't even a fair match. It wasn't even a fair match.
No, it was a joke. And Jake Paul needs to shut the fuck up. Logan Paul's even worse because Evander Kane, who honestly, as it gets over, Evander Kane was tweeting like, "Oh, I'll beat this guy. That's no reflection of athletes and shit like that." Evander Kane said he could beat Logan Paul. He could beat Jake Paul. And Evander Kane was trying to get at Jake Paul, saying like, "Oh, this you," like all these tweets. And Logan Paul responded, "This you," and it was Logan Paul saying like, "Oh, I'm actually a big soft teddy bear," and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So now that fight's building. Do not step into the ring with Evander Kane, who I believe his godfather is Evander Holyfield. That sounds like a bad idea. Logan Paul and Jake Paul, you're 23, you're 25. You make your money on YouTube. If you're the king of YouTube, you own that. One of you lost to KSI in a fight and one of you beat him or something like that. I don't even keep up with that shit.
KSI beat one of them. I forget who it was.
It was a win and a tie. KSI won one of the fights, I think. Whatever. I don't even keep up with it. But you're not professional fighters. You're not professional athletes. Yes, Jake Paul, you are probably a better boxer than 90% of people in the world. But I absolutely dare you to fight somebody who is a semi-professional boxer. Logan, you too. It's not going to happen. You step into that ring with Evander Kane, he will beat the shit out of you. This man made Ryan Reeves look like an absolute dummy.
I know, man. I wish. Oh my god! Imagine Ryan Reeves versus Logan Paul or Jake Paul.
Let's do a tag team match. Evander Kane and Ryan Reeves, or Jake Paul and Logan Paul in Hell in a Cell Inferno match. We can do it on the 10th floor of my apartment. It's already burned to shit.
It's already got half the venue set. Yeah. It's a great fucking quote.
But like, it pissed me off. And you know what? I enjoyed every second of the pay-per-view. It was fun.
Yeah. So, especially the pay-per-view from the first floor, looking up to the 10th this morning. We paid for that view.
What pissed me off about that was the people on the 11th and the 12th floor standing over their balconies and just filming it. Like, bro, get out.
Bro,
like,
leave the building, please.
You're about to become a s'mores. Like, get out.
It's not World Star when your fucking life's at
I'm on the second floor on the other side of the building, and I got out, and you're on the 11th floor above the fire, and you're like, "Hey,
This is cool.
Snapchat, get the fuck out!" Oh my god, it was so annoying. But yeah, so that celebrity boxing match was fun. Did you watch the whole Tyson fight, or?
Yeah, I did. I watched. I pretty much watched the whole event. The Tyson fight was a nice marathon. It was good to see.
It was fun to see. It was entertaining. I was more entertained by the concert beforehand.
Oh my god, dude, that concert was insane.
It was
It
fun.
had me running hard. I would have just paid for that.
I don't know how to. Well, did you pay for the fight?
Did you pay for the fight?
Did you use the link I gave you? Then no, you didn't pay for the fight. I've been talking to a lot of people, and
Yeah.
a lot of people watched this fight. A lot of people didn't pay for this fight.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I hate that. Especially because they pay-per-view this, pay-per-view that. Like, nah, my buddy's just gonna send me a link. Let's just put it out for public. Might as well just
See, but that's the thing. I think you gotta prove yourself, because it was kind of one of those things where it's like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna be entertained by this.
right. And well, anything, any pay-per-view event, who knows? Like, you're
Right.
literally getting. You are paying for expectation. You're paying for something
Yeah.
to unfold in front of you. You're not.
You
You're
want to
not
be entertained, and if they did this event again, I think I would pay for it. Right? Like, I might have a couple friends over to split the cost. I remember for the McGregor Mayweather event, we had like 14 people over in my parents' basement when you were allowed to do that. I charged everybody $15. I actually made money off of it. Charged everybody $15 entry. You got entry and a beer, and they were like, yeah, that's cool, man, because you had to come over, chill with your friends, watch it. There was some side action between everybody. And when the fight ended, it was incredible, and like, people pay for that. But
They do.
I can only think of one fight I will be paying for coming up, and that's McGregor Poirier. I'll be paying for that one. But like, you got to have big names on it who are active, and like, seeing Tyson on the card, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this guy at 52 or 53 or whatever he is.
Right.
And, but now that I've seen it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I might watch this guy again. Like, let's put him in the ring. Let's see what he got. I don't think he looked bad.
I agree. I think it was overall great. I think Snoop Dogg clearly saw something, man. Like, it was.
Well, he came up with that plan pretty quickly afterwards, right? Like, it was fun.
Right? Like it like the whole celebrity old timers, like people. You're not necessarily seeing like people like the hard names to remember who are actually training for the whole life from across the sea. Hard to remember names. You just want to see the people that talk about it. Yeah. I am lost. It is late, man. It is so late.
I got one more thing to talk about. As everybody knows, I am a huge current pro wrestling fan. I don't know how much pro wrestling you currently watch, but
Huge former fan.
AEW, All Elite Wrestling, a new promotion. They're about a year old. They're on the TNT network. They had a huge, absolutely mind-blowing episode this week. They brought back the icon, the legend, the ghost, Sting. And I thought that would be the highlight of the episode, but no. The highlight of the episode was the end of the episode where the vice president of Impact Wrestling, who air on Tuesday nights on, I believe it's like Pop TV or something, came out and interfered in the match and cost Jon Moxley the championship. Kenny Omega pinned him for the AEW championship. And as they were leaving, Kenny Omega screamed out, "Check us out on Tuesday nights on Impact Wrestling." So what this means is, these wrestling networks, so AEW already had a partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling, so NJPW, AEW, TNT, all these like minor pro wrestling, they're all teaming up. So there's a collaboration here. The WWE is in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I know what you mean. It's hard for like a general listener to understand because it's really specific. Like it's almost like if you had to picture it this way, like the NHL is the WWE, and now you have like the ECHL, the AHL, leagues like it's kind of like they're teaming up to provide the same quality of entertainment of product at a more like local, reasonable idea. Like it reaches more people.
It's promising because I'm not a WWE fan. I
Right.
watch it because it's the most released product. I prefer NXT over the main product shows of WWE and of Raw and SmackDown. I
Yeah.
prefer NXT, and AEW I think has been the best thing to happen to pro wrestling in the last 25 years. But now the fact that they've partnered with New Japan Pro Wrestling and now Impact, I suppose, because the last thing you hear on All Elite Wrestling this week was tune in on Tuesday to Impact Wrestling. I'm like, well, shit, I've never watched Impact Wrestling before, but I guess I'm going to this week.
Because he's on it, yeah.
Yeah, and people remember the turning point for pro wrestling was when, I don't know if you know this, Brandon, Stone Cold Steve Austin was born out of the Attitude Era, which was when the WWF was going against WCW, and it was a ratings battle every night, and pretty much it ended up being Stone Cold won them the ratings battle, and the WWE or WWF at the time was finally able to buy out WCW, and all that change happened. And
Good history.
yeah, like I could do a whole fucking show on wrestling, man. Like you don't even know. And maybe that's something else we look at. But
Oh, I was gonna show you then it'll come out. It'll just come out that
but
episode.
it was just awesome for me to see that pro wrestling might be making a comeback to where it's seen as something that's relevant and
Realistic.
and I don't want to use the word cool, but like relevant. Like people talk about it. Because in the 90s, when it was the Attitude Era, people talk about like, oh, you see what Stone Cold did last night? Did you see what Sting did last night? Did you see what Hollywood Hulk Hogan was doing? And I would just like to see that. Like I go into work and be like, hey, did you see what AJ Styles did? Did you see what Keith Lee was doing? Did you see Randy Orton? Did you see Sting, Cody Rhodes, Miro, John Moxley? Like I just think it would be cool.
Wrestling needs a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah, and for the people who are saying, oh, it's fake, yeah, I know it's fake. It's entertaining, it tells a story, and it's continuous. So I'll tune in every week then. Like I love it. It's fun.
Speaking of tuning in every week, we hope you guys do with us. And you know,
We will be
hope
back
we hope
on.
to never have such a long break from you guys again.
Yeah, we do apologize.
It wasn't necessarily something we wanted to do. Let's just say we were always looking for the date and time to be filming. Okay, so buildings get on fire, restaurants don't cook their food, 2 + 2 = 4. Subscribe for more.
I'm gonna play a song to hear us out. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it.
Fuck it.
Can you hear it?
No.
I don't even know how to do this.
Take your cord out.
Okay, well, club going up on a Tuesday is playing. I'll play it over. We will be back on Tuesday night. Until then, like, comment, subscribe, follow us. We will see you later. Canada represent. We are out.